I'm calling from our meeting. Um, okay, so it's about to start. If you just want to put yourself on mute, just in case there's any. Perfect, thank you.
All right, we're going to call our meeting today for the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission to order for March 28th, 2023. Welcome to everybody that's here. It's good to see community participation. A lot of friends out there in the audience. Could we verify a quorum, please?
Yes. AJ Mosqueda,
Present.
Ron Rice, Jim Allen,
Present.
Tim Bowers, Danny Bryant,
Present.
Yes Rosales, Scott Morhorn,
Present. Here.
Bobby McDermott, Ron Van Wy.
Here.
Chairman, you do have a quorum.
Very good. Now, if you would all stand and join me, we'll pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A little bit of housekeeping before we get into our meeting. If you parked in the rear employee gated parking lot, please move your vehicle to avoid being locked in. Move your vehicle around to the front parking lot. If you haven't signed in yet, please sign in at the table by the rear door. If you're going to speak tonight, we ask that you give us your name and your address for the record before speaking. When you do speak, address the chairman and the audience. Do not speak to the audience or to staff, please. There is a 3-minute timer. We don't use it often, but it's chairman's prerogative. We might turn it on if we need. If you have handouts to give to the commission, give them to staff and they will distribute them. If you want to show something on the overhead projector, also give that to staff so it can become a part of the record. Restrooms and drinking fountains are out the door just down the hall behind us. Use those facilities as needed. And please, no food or beverages other than water in the meeting room. First thing on tonight's agenda, item number 3, is the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting minutes of February 28th, 2023.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Black with a second by Commissioner AJ to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Next item on tonight's agenda, item number 4, special use permit case number 23-01. Barry Olson, agent for Sidco Properties LLC, request a special use permit for exemption for section 614-03 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. The agent requested a continuance of this case on March 16th, and I believe the agent is in attendance this afternoon if you had any questions over his request.
Be asking the continuance for a date certain.
For the April meeting, I believe, was the request.
April meeting, do we know what that date is? April 25th?
Chairman, make a motion?
Sure.
Move that we accept the continuation.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Van Wy.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Black to continue item number 4 at the applicant's agent's request to the April 25th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? So item number 4, the special use permit case number 23-01 will be heard next month, April 25th, 2023.
It was continued. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Have
Bye.
a good night.
You too, thanks.
We had Arizona Department of Environmental Quality on the phone, but they don't want to listen after the continuance. We have a request from a staff member that we're going to honor to move the agenda around just a little bit. We are going to go to case number 6, 7, and 8 tonight so that this staff member can present his case. He has to leave at a time certain. So we're going to go to item number 6, special use permit case number 23-03, Brett Stroop of Kimbley Horn and Houdini LLC, agents for the Arizona State Land Department, request a special use permit, section 601.03 of Human County zoning ordinance to allow a solar power generating facility. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Juan Leal Rubio, Senior Planner with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request per section 601.03 to allow a solar power generating facility and associated equipment totaling 4,181 gross acres in size, zone RA10. This property is located in the Dateland East County planning area at the alignments of the northwest corner of Paloma Road and Avenue 7E in Dateland. And the intent is to allow a 455 megawatt photovoltaic solar power generating facility. This is the case map presented by staff, which shows the properties, which totaled 7 properties, crosshatched. This is the aerial imagery that shows the location of the property. As you can see here to the west, the existing Agua Caliente solar power facility and the open desert to the on all sides. This is the site plan that was provided by the applicant that shows the location of the panels, access to the property. This is a picture looking northeast at Palomas Road. This is looking northwest at the property. We did not receive any comments in writing from property owners within the zoning area. The Arizona Game and Fish Department did provide comments and recommendations, which are included as part of the package. Staff is recommending approval of this special use permit with the following performance conditions. Number 1, that the owner or applicant must provide an ARS 121134 waiver within 60 days of board approval. Number 2, the owner or applicant shall record the following disclosure statements within 60 days of board approval. 1 being a range disclosure statement, 2 an infrastructure disclosure statement, and the following operational conditions. Number 1, the owner shall maintain and make copies available to Yuma County of all permits and notices from submissions to any federal, state, or other regulatory authority. The owner operator shall employ chief safety professional and provide a 24-hour emergency contact phone number. Number 3, the approval of this special use permit is based on the site plan that was submitted by the applicant. Any change to the site plan will require approval by the plan director pursuant to the Yuma County zoning ordinance. And number 4, the applicant must install and maintain a security fence 6 feet in height along the perimeter of the area of the installation of the solar panel modules. Number 5, the applicant must install and maintain a sign warning of the high voltage associated with the solar farm at the entrance to the facility The sign must also provide the emergency contact information. Number 6, post-project construction dust palliative shall be applied to the soil for dust control mitigation. And number 7, the submittal of a decommissioning bond to the county satisfaction. This bond shall be maintained in the amount of the full decommissioning cost at the end of the anticipated life of the project, net of salvage value as estimated by a professional engineer registered in the state of Arizona. Said bond shall be reviewed and approved as to form, substance, and amount by the Yuma County engineer. The engineer's estimate of the decommissioning cost shall be renewed no less than every 5 years by a professional engineer registered in the state of Arizona, and a copy of each renewed estimate shall be provided to the county engineer for review and approval. The decommissioning bond shall be adjusted in accordance with the renewed cost estimate within 30 days after the approval by the county engineer. Number 8, prior to construction, a traffic impact study shall be completed per Yuma County Public Works Standards number 7.3. Yuma County will manage and solicit bids. The developer shall construct all required improvements recommended by the traffic impact study. And number 9, the applicant owner must abide by procedures and requirements adopted by Union Pacific regarding approvals and granting of cross points and entry rights through Union Pacific rights-of-ways and easements. And that concludes staff's presentation. Ready to entertain any questions.
Thank you. Do commissioners have questions of staff at this point? If not, we'll ask if the applicant's agent is here and if they would like to speak now. The applicant's agent is not here?
Mr. Chairman, I have not met the applicant. This is not my case. I'm presenting on behalf of Javier, so I'm not
Okay.
sure of.
All right, and we will open up the public hearing portion of this meeting and ask if there's anyone in the public who would like to speak concerning this case, either for or against. Yes, would you come forward to the podium, and give us your name and address for the record? And
My name's John Fugate, 2428 West 13th Place, Yuma, Arizona. There's a copy of what I'm going to read. It was addressed to Mr. Barrage. I'm a lifelong Yuma County resident and a lifetime member of the Rod and Gun Club here in Yuma. I'm here today to respectfully request that the commission send a denial recommendation for issuing the necessary special use permit as it relates to case number SUP 2303 to our Board of Supervisors. If the supervisors concur and do not issue said permit, it is my understanding Houdini Solar cannot exist on public land in Yuma County. My firm beliefs for not allowing Houdini Solar to be constructed on public land in Yuma County are the following. Number 1, loss of 4,000 acres of wildlife habitat, which is located on public land here in Yuma County. Number 2, loss of public access to those 4,000 acres of public land in Yuma County. Number 3, no financial benefit to the county other than building for permit fees. Power generated by this facility will not serve the county. It won't even serve Arizona. The power generated by this solar project will be sold to California. So we're going to take it in the shorts, give up land that I've accessed many times. I was born and raised here. There's a lot of people behind me that have too. Bottom line is, we're going to give something up, and we ain't going to get nothing in return. Nothing. Thank you. Is there any questions?
no questions, but yes, Bobby McDermott.
Yes, ma'am.
Describe to me the area that they are wanting to take out of public lands. Is it good land for wildlife? Do we have natural vegetation?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there's
there's 3 washes. In your packet, I believe the Game and Fish Department has it in specifics so that you folks can look at that. But there's 3 main washes that I know of south of Berrigan's Mountain. There's a gas line that goes through. I think the northern end of the project starts at that gas line and goes to the railroad tracks, or to Hyder Road, if you will. And, you know, it would be different if we were going to be able to utilize the power, the county, or at least in the state. But all they got to do is go south of Laguna Dam, over there south of S-24. That power line crosses the river right there. Build it right there. It's in California, and they can sell it to whoever the heck buyer they want to.
What is your experience with natural storms, flooding, the running of the washes, the effect on the roads,
When Red Raven runs,
Let me call
you ain't crossing the Hyder Road. And
road down to the river? We have other people farming down there. I mean,
yes, south of the project, there's, I don't know if it's still, if they're still farming, but there was at least one that I know of, because we used to ask permission to access the farm to hunt. But Hoodoo, Red Raven, Smith, I can't remember the other 2 names, but they're main washes that start way up north and cross that road. And Red Raven, I'm not no biologist, but there's 2 folks here that can concur that during the summertime, that one particular wash is pretty important to newborn mule deer. You're welcome.
Johnny, hold on. Mr. Chairman. Johnny, what's the closest farm area to that,
The closest farm would be south. I don't know how far his property comes up to the deal, but I would say within a couple of miles.
and you're saying that the washes actually run right through the property in question?
oh, yeah.
Oh, without question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming. Next speaker want to come forward? Does anyone, yes, come forward, name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, my name's Michael Snyder. My address is 3686 South 18th Avenue in Yuma. This proposed area, I've been going out there my entire life since I was old enough to walk. My father started taking me out there. We went with his friends, his kids. Now my kids go out there. My grandkids are going out there, and it's pristine desert. This is no place to put solar panels. I mean, as Johnny was trying to explain, it's not greasewood flats. It's beautiful desert. You have every type. You have draws, you have washes, you have huge Palo Verde trees, ironwood trees, mesquite trees. It's just a great area. It has a ton of wildlife, everything from mule deer. Now they have Sonoran antelope. There's desert tortoises. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But this is an absolutely horrible idea. We have solar panels that have already taken out close to 4,000 acres of White Wing Ranch. And then they're building several thousand back to the south. And as Johnny pointed out, all this power is going to California. What do we get in return? Right now, Yuma County, as you guys know, we're limited for recreation by military bases and whatnot. So why would we want to destroy a pristine desert that hundreds of us recreate on to put these solar panels in? They're an eyesore. And if you guys haven't been out to that area, before you vote on it, if you're thinking about voting for it, just drive out there and look at it. And I guarantee you won't vote for it. And Johnny was talking about the names of those washes. There's a monument to the west of this area, and there's several names on it. It's the names of soldiers in World War II that died out there training before their outfits got shipped overseas. And most of those washes out there, when you go down that road, the names on them, they're named after those soldiers. So you might keep that in mind. But what we get in return for this, for the quality of life it gives, there's no comparison. But thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming and commenting. Who else would like to speak tonight?
The Godfather.
So let me see if we're doing, are you guys all standing because you want to speak, or you're in support of the speaker? In support of the speaker, okay, thank you.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Pat Headington, address 2087 West Chico Lane. I come before you tonight representing the Yuma Valley Rod and Gun Club. I have a letter here that I'll leave with the commission. We also have a roster of individuals who are signing in, choosing not to speak tonight, but we want to make sure that their name and address is entered into the record. I'm going to go through some of this. I'm going to paraphrase this as much as possible, but a little background for the commission. Founded in 1936, Yuma Valley Rod and Gun Club is the second oldest sportsmen's and women's organization in the state of Arizona. Our membership routinely exceeds 750 members, all of us organized and working for a common goal, and that is the preservation and conservation of Arizona's wildlife and resources. We appreciate this opportunity this evening to address Special Use Permit 23-03 and request the commission render a recommendation of denial to the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. And I have a couple of items here that I'll touch on, some of which you've learned a little bit about already. Sonoran pronghorn are in the area and were listed as an endangered species March 11th, 1967. As the recovery plan was implemented, barriers that were identified in the recovery plan included limited distribution, loss of water, fragmentation and degradation of habitat, human-caused disturbances, and prolonged periods of drought. While the Sonoran pronghorn has made significant progress, they still occupy less than 20% of their historic range yet today. At one point, there were fewer than 25 Sonoran pronghorn on the ground in the U.S. That is not the case today. Some of the things that are identified in the recovery plan, we as an organization have worked very hard to correct. One of those most recently was the construction and installation of a 28,000-gallon water catchment that is primarily designed to serve Sonoran pronghorn northwest of this facility. There's 4 days and lots of hard work putting these things together. Some of the other issues that were of concern are access to public lands. As was identified in your report, the Palomas-Harquahala Road is a mapped roadway dating back prior to 1890, some 20-plus years before Arizona statehood. The original site plan provided by the applicant showed this road as being fenced off. Our concern is, with state land being the applicant, that can move forward. Closing access to these lands is going to really intensely damage wildlife. North of this area, this is one of 2 legal access points north where more than 20 water catchments are maintained by the Yuma Valley Rod and Gun Club, Region 4 Game and Fish staff, and other volunteers. During 2021 and 22, these volunteers delivered over 750,000 gallons of water to wildlife in the region. All of this is done overland, trucks pulling trailers with 1,000 gallons of water in tow, and in many cases, final delivery to some of these higher altitudes has to be completed by helicopter. These access points are critical to maintaining these water supplies. Conversion of our public lands, we feel deserves a greater public process. While we appreciate this opportunity to address the commission and ultimately the Board of Supervisors, the removal of 4,000 acres or more of public lands without greater public input, we see as an issue. And we would like to recommend that Yuma County review its processes for the zoning ordinance as well as the comprehensive plan and see if adjustments can't be made to provide greater access to the public, allowing them to comment earlier in the process. We have been on the front edge of this for a number of years, roping in game and fish as well, highlighting some of the problems that this can occur. We would also like to see solar first developed near the urban centers and metropolitan areas that use and ultimately benefit from that energy. There's a couple of reasons to do that. One of it has helped us support resiliency of that particular area, those urban sites and metropolitan areas, but it also saves our public pristine lands from exactly these kinds of projects. In closing, we appreciate this opportunity to provide comments to the special use permit 23-03 and encourage again the commission to render a recommendation of denial to the Board of Supervisors. Emo Valley Rod and Gun Club is a valued affiliate of the Arizona Wildlife Federation, and as such, our comments and this letter are representative of their position also. Additional wildlife organizations signing on to this letter include the Arizona Desert Bighorn Sheep Society, Arizona Antelope Foundation, Arizona Mule Deer Organization, and Southwest Bowhunters. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners have questions of the speaker? If I understand right, the owner of this property is the state of Arizona?
State Land Department.
Well, that's state of Arizona, right? The state land department's just a department managing lands that we all own.
Correct.
So we're the owners, you guys are the owners, and
We
you
are
don't,
all owners.
and you don't want the land used for what it's being requested to use for.
No, similar to what Mr. Fugate elaborated on, all of this power is going to California. When you look at the energy policies and environmental policies that California has implemented, they have set up the perfect example for a state to demonstrate not in my backyard. That's why we are here. We seem to be their backyard for more than just solar, as many of the commissioners probably already know. And we're pushing back. They can start and figure it out how to get it in their backyard.
You've done a good job of making that point tonight. Thank you for coming and sharing with us. Any other questions of the speaker? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak tonight?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner McDermott.
Since the applicant wasn't here, I couldn't talk to them. Will we be able to make comments after this as members of the planning and zoning?
Sure, we can make comments. Yes, just another speaker. Come forward, name and address for the record.
Donald Pelfrey, and my address is in Roll. And I'm the executive director for the Land for Wildlife Foundation and the chairman for the Mule Deer Foundation in Yuma County. And I just wanted to talk real quick. I didn't have anything to prepare for this. I just found out a couple days ago from Pat, and wanted to, just the important part of it, once solar goes in, there is no undoing what we've done. Once it's there, it's destroyed 1,000 years worth of habitat for the wildlife. There's no reversing it. So when they find a better way to get their green solar for California, we're left trying to fix the problem. And there's no way. We're going to kill thousands of animals. In the last 20 years, I've rescued over 1,000 mule deer, pronghorn, bighorn sheep from the canals and the fences that were built to keep them out of the solar and to keep them out of the canals for the farmland. And just once this is here, there's no reversing it. There's no long-term studies to see how this is going to affect their corridors when they travel through there. They depend on going to the river bottom, and essentially we're building a wall. And they're no longer going to be able to access that, and we have no long-term data. Where do we draw the line between their green and our wildlife? So I think California needs to worry about their own green deals and their solar and making their power, and let's not kill our wildlife in the process. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
His address.
Sir, we need a better address than just,
43174 East County 6th Street, Roll, Arizona.
Thank you.
20 miles from where they're going to build it.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers tonight? Seeing no one, well, no, we do have one. Come on up, sir. Name and address for the record.
He takes his time to think. He takes his time to think, but go ahead, sir.
Doug Beach, Yuma, Arizona, 5184 East Goldwater Drive. I got to get my 2 cents in. I'm past president of the Rod and Gun Club, currently volunteer for the Game and Fish Department. A lot of the water that Pat mentioned, I helped haul. And what I want to emphasize is the Sonoran pronghorn. It's not uncommon to see the deer and the Sonoran pronghorn travel in these washes. Just like the last gentleman, we're putting up a fence. These are public lands, leave them open. They belong to all of us. We all have access to it now. The Sonoran pronghorn, the Rod and Gun Club has put a significant amount of money into to restore them for your children, for my grandkids, for everybody. And it's not uncommon to see these pronghorn in this area. They're an endangered species, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not, I don't know that any of us are going to live long enough to see them taken off the Endangered Species Act. Their numbers are increasing drastically, but I don't know that we'll ever see it. And I just can't see more solar in this area and putting up more fences to keep the deer and the antelope out of the area. I believe this same property, somebody applied for application for permits a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Arizona Game and Fish deemed this land prime mule deer habitat. And the habitat for the deer is the same habitat for the pronghorn. That's all I want to say.
Very good. Well, thank you for coming and sharing with us. Anyone else like to speak tonight? One more speaker coming up. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
Ronnie McKay, 3879 South Avenue 5E. I'm like Mike and Johnny and the rest of them. We've been hunting out there since we were little kids with our parents. My grandkids are now actually hunting in this, right there. They're hunting right there. The one subject that hadn't come up tonight, in all the years that we've been hunting there is also Indian artifacts in that area. There's been pottery found right there, Indian arrowheads, and actually the panels that they've built south of the highway, that was loaded with Indian artifacts. Nobody ever even said anything about that when they went in there and just mowed that all down and covered that up. No, I never heard nobody say anything, and there's a lot of us in here right now is seen tons of Indian artifacts out there. And are they gonna look into that before they start mowing all this down? But something that needs to be looked into. They won't let us drive out there or pick anything up that's an Indian artifact, but they're not even checking to see if there's anything there. They're just gonna go in there and cover it up. And the reason being is because they want people to, there ain't nobody ever gonna walk across that right there unless they're hunting. But anyway, something to consider.
Very good. Thank you. Another good points. All good points. All right, we have one more speaker.
Hi, Rebecca May Pope, 3715 East 32nd Street, Yuma, Arizona, 85365. Just one point that I haven't had anybody mention tonight is as we are aging and getting older, we now have grandchildren and hoping to have great-grandchildren. And what's going to be the impact after 30 years or 100 years of whatever the lease is going to be, and what's going to be left out there when our younger generations start traveling out there to go do the recreational things that we all enjoy. So thank you.
All right, we got another speaker, yes?
Hi, good evening. Matt Dories, 2959 West 10th Lane. I'm a fifth-generation human. Like all these other folks, I've been going out there my whole life. My kid's out there with me now. One thing I kind of find a little disrespectful is the company that wants to do this doesn't even have a representative here. To me, that speaks volumes. They're not here to answer our questions. They're not here to represent themselves. The other thing goes back to, yeah, they say it's green. You know what kind of toxic chemicals go into solar panels? They go into transformers. What's going to happen to all that stuff? Going to get it abandoned? Probably in the end, that's what's going to happen. So I would just like you all to consider that, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, our last speaker, look, the tall guy.
Okay, I'll stand up later. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Ed Shippen. What's my new address out there, Danny?
Oh, gosh.
533 East 2.5 County, East County 2.5 Street. My complaint is for the antelope. I looked and looked and looked trying to find what provision Yuma County has in terms of how to handle Endangered Species Act as it applies to their zoning or any other project. I could not find anything. As far as I can tell, the Endangered Species Act requires each agency to provide for the Endangered Species Act, and yet we haven't even come up with a plan in Yuma yet, to my knowledge. Now, the Department of Transportation in Arizona is the only one that I can find that had anything written down as far how they were going to handle the Endangered Species Act. And I'll share this pamphlet with you, Danny, to provide to the staff, because I think it is more important for you to take a look at the big, long-term picture. We have an endangered species that was on the brink. Very few animals survived. We went through a period where they increased and then they had a bad winter and lost some, but we're in the state of recovery now. I don't want to give it up. It's very important to me that we look ahead and provide for animals for the future. I just want you to take a hard look, and I have this to share.
Just give it to staff and we'll get copies.
Thank you.
Thank
That's all.
you. Appreciate it. All right. One more person rising to speak. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Glenda Hazlett, 3650 East County 17th Street. My frustration is that it is state trust land, and that it's not really brought to the forefront that this is even going on. But if you did go out there and you saw, just in a short number of years, there is hardly any land. It's all solar. It's everywhere, and it's not for here. I'm pissed off that California gets any of it and that they're taking our land. I don't want Arizona to become Texas, where my kids who do hunt and who like to hunt have to go and find a landowner and buy tags from that landowner because they actually have land they can hunt on. It's not open land anymore. And that's what's going to happen out there. Pretty soon, there will be nothing available. We will have no desert. And that's not what we here in Yuma. Yeah, Yuma's small, but you know, it is beautiful out there. And anyone who wants to spend any time outside, that's the place to go. It's gorgeous. And it won't be. It's already not in most of it. So I really wish you guys would drive out there and just look at it and look at what they have done just on the south side of the road from this solar project. It's devastating. They weren't supposed to level it according to their plans. They were supposed to keep everything kind of the way it is. No, it is a flat level, and it's disgusting what they did. And that is even bigger than what this one is. So all the deer that were used to crossing the road and going through there to get to the Gila, that's no more. So this is going to be their safe haven because they can't go through that action to get to the Gila. There's nothing available for these deer. Nothing available for even coyotes, for anything, because they have a roadblock. I don't understand why more of the people who want to stop us from hunting and say that we are these horrible, bad people are not standing up here fighting, saying, don't take any more of this land, regardless if it's for green energy. It's wrong. They're taking it from the animals. Yes, we hunt, but we hunt for a reason. They give out tags for a reason. It's to keep the population healthy. This is not keeping it healthy. This is damaging everything about it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Very passionate. All right, we've heard from all the speakers tonight. We got one more speaker coming forward.
I showed up a little late. I'm not sure what questions have been asked already. My main question is, as a retired math science teacher, I'm not against any sort of progress in technology, having been a math science type, but I'm wondering where the money's going. If I don't know what the arrangement is as far as any lease agreements or fees, what the Arizona taxpayer is going to get out of this in return for the use of that land. After 29 years of teaching in Oregon, I noted that there was a section of timberland that was supposed to be used just for education, and that was important as a teacher at the time to me. And then I found that there were accusations that they said, okay, we designated a section. This year it's this section, and then the following year it's this section. And the accusation was they just moved it to a section that had already been logged. So there's a lot of public distrust in government these days. So I'm just wondering what financial agreements there are with this. And I totally agree about losing access. There's a lot of people that come from all over the country and spend money in Yuma to do things like hunting and off-roading on the trails. And I understand there was a road through there established in the late 1800s. So it's not like it hasn't been accessed before. I think I've hunted over there myself.
Your name, sir?
My name is Roger Barron. I'm a retired
Address?
at 2678 South Terrace Avenue, Yuma, Arizona, just past Araby.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing with us. Of course, we don't have answers to those questions. That state land, and they don't share that money.
I
issue with
understand.
us.
It's just
But thanks for sharing.
giving a public concern.
We appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you. All right, all speakers have spoke. Okay, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and we'll come back to the commissioners for discussion and action.
Mr. Chairman, just a little bit of discussion on that. Really thank the Yuma Valley Rod and Gun Club. I mean, you guys have made your case.
Absolutely.
It was primo. With that, how could you argue the facts that you guys have brought to us, and it's so appreciated because it's those are the types of things we need to hear, and so we can make the correct decisions. But, Mr. Chairman, and maybe some other commissioners may have something to say, but on another side of this, the developer didn't show up tonight. So it's kind of a no-brainer But they could be at the county supervisors meeting.
So what?
So we need to keep the pressure on this until it's done. But saying all that, I would make a motion.
Wait a minute, I haven't had a
We
chance.
can had a chance to talk.
I'm gonna make a motion and you can rebut it. Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve or deny
And I second that motion.
special use permit case number 23-03.
Second.
Everybody's rushing to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
We have a motion by Commissioner Black with a second by Commissioner Van Wy to recommend denial.
Mr.
of
Chairman?
This special use case, yes.
Staff was able to get a hold of somebody associated with this project. There are several contact people in the file, and we did get a hold of one person that stated that she would like to see if the case can be continued because she was not aware of tonight's meeting. That's her request.
A little too late.
Not gonna change my mind.
Not me.
Johnny come lately. yes.
Not gonna change my mind.
Let's get a legal opinion. Legal, are we obligated to continue this at this point?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think you're obligated to. I don't know that a formal request has been made, so I think you could proceed.
We could if we wanted to. We could go either way, even though we have a motion and a second on the floor. So we'll come back to the commissioners. You heard the legal. I would ask, is there anyone here that's in the mood to ask that this case be continued?
Mr. Chairman, you have a motion on the floor,
Yes,
please.
but we could pull it if somebody
No,
wanted to
I
continue.
don't want to pull it.
I won't pull my
They made their
second.
case. They made their case.
I think
Pull
we're
my
going to
second.
vote on this in a few minutes. Bobby, did
He
you
wants
want
to
to
be
make a
heard
statement?
first. Bobby wants to be heard.
I want to let Bobby be heard here.
Well, yeah, I was looking forward to speaking to the applicant. I spent 50 years in Yuma County, 38 years working in land use planning, farming, irrigation, the whole 9 yards. I spent 12 years in Welton, and I worked in Welton all the way to Hyder, Aztec, and Dateland. It's just a crime what solar does to the environment. It cooks everything. There's nothing left. I love the blue map. If you look at that map, those are all waterways. It is against the law in Arizona for you to turn water into another person or to destroy a natural waterway. Well, I'm sorry. After looking what they did north of the Gila River, it's a crime. But I mean, I met a mountain lion down on Hidden Valley Ranch Dike, and he looked at me and I looked at him and I went the other way. But this is amazing, and we can't replicate it. There's only 7% private land, and there's only a limited amount of public land that's available for Yuma County and for the people who love it. But the State Land Department is the big dog in this. The people who can tell the State Land Department to walk away are your state legislators. If you try and lease a piece of state land, they make you get an archaeological report. It takes months. It has to be detailed, but it seems that the State Land Department does not need to follow its own rules. So I think that is another aspect that we can look at. I'm totally against this. I have seen every piece of that ground underwater from a 6-inch rain, washing out the dikes in the Gila River and the ditches and the countryside. It's just, I don't know.
Wow. Do I get my 2 cents like Doug Beach did?
Bobby, how do you feel about it?
How do you feel about that, Bobby?
Yes, I understand.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, can I get my 2 cents like Mr. Beach did?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, get your 2 cents.
We own that land, right? So then, because I'm a firm believer that if you own the land, you should do what you want to do with it. So then we should keep it the way it is, right? So let's vote on it.
So I believe that you guys made a very effective case, and I can't tell you, I think I speak for all of us, how much we appreciate you coming in, speaking clearly, concisely, controlled, no anger, just pure facts and passion. But it's very helpful for us. And if there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion and the second to recommend denial of this special use case signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous vote to recommend denial. Special use case 23-02.
Still need to go to the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Yeah, it's got to go one more level, so thank you for coming. Yeah, so you'll.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on forward now to item number 7 and item number 8. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this for a minute. We'll take
Get out.
Are we skipping 5?
We're doing 6, 7, and 8, yeah, because he's got to leave.
Mine?
Okay. And he's got to present these 3 cases.
No, I'll be late. Be a little late.
All right. Now we can get back to business, okay? We will go to items number 7 and 8 on tonight's agenda, Los Agaves by Rydell, phases 1 through 3 subdivision modification, subdivision regulations request. Naja Dias is representing. And we'll also open case number 8, the Los Agaves by Rydell, phases 1 through 3 subdivision tentative map to be presented by staff. Staff report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for a modification of section 72.5 of the Yuma County Public Works Standard for the proposed Los Agaves by Rydell phases 1 through 3 subdivision located along Fortuna Road between the alignments of County 12.5 Street and County 13th Street in Yuma. This is the case map presented by staff that shows the location of the different phases, crosshatch. This is aerial imagery that shows the, again, location of the future phase subdivision. And the modification is 7.25-3 arterial and major collector streets. It is requested by the developer to access Fortuna Road as shown on exhibits A and B attached. The spacing of intersections at all public streets, roads, and highways and other major access should be one half or 1/4 mile plus or minus 200 feet and based on section lines. The engineering department recommends denial of this request since arterial streets shall be designed for high travel speeds and traffic volumes with limited access. And this shows the both exhibits, which is the one to your left is Exhibit A. It shows phases 1 and 2 and 1/8 of a mile south of County 12.5 Street, the access point, and then phase 3 on Exhibit B to your right. That is approximately 400 feet north of County 13th Street. Is what's being requested as a modification. And staff is recommending denial of this modification. I'll move on to the tentative map. This is a request for approval of the tentative map for the proposed Los Agaves by Rydell phases 1 through 3 subdivision consisting of 649 residential lots, zone RVS, located in the foothills planning area. Again, the case map. This is the tentative map that was submitted to staff, phases 1, 2, and 3 to the south. Staff is recommending approval of the tentative map for this Los Agaves by Rydell phases 1 through 3 subdivision, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, all modifications requested by the developer shall be approved by the board. If any of the requested modifications are denied, the tentative map shall be revised to meet the requirements of the subdivision regulations. The revised tentative map shall be submitted to the planning director within 30 days of board approval on the requested modifications. Number 2, a traffic impact study per Yuma County Public Works Standards, Section 7.3, shall be submitted. The developer shall construct all required improvements. Number 3, the developer shall provide legal and physical access to 40th Street along Fortuna Road. And number 4, the developer must satisfy all ADQ approvals at time of the final plat is submitted for review. And that concludes staff presentation.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions of staff at this point?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I have one. Just what is the zoning on those two parcels?
Mr. Chairman, the zoning is RVS.
RVS.
And Mr. Chairman, just to verify that the land to the south is state land?
That is correct.
County 13? Thank you.
Any other commissioners have questions of staff?
I have a
Yes, Mr.
question.
Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'm not seeing the grading packet in this that we typically get. Where am I?
That's for rezoning cases.
Oh, just for,
usually.
okay, gotcha. 10-4.
Special use cases occasionally.
Just kidding.
Mr. Chairman, they were recommending denial of a portion and approval of another. Is that what I was understanding?
They're recommending approval of the plat, but they're recommending denial of the request of the modifications from subdivision regulations. So item number 7, staff recommended denial.
Denial, okay.
Item number 8, staff recommended approval.
Approval, Roger, thank you.
Any other commissioners have questions of staff? If not, is the agent present? Would the agent like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, my name is Naja Hidayes with Hidayes Engineering. I guess let's not talk about the one that has been recommended for approval. That's a no-brainer. But I'm a little bit shocked that staff would recommend denial for designing a project with good access. Well, let me back up a little bit. Fortuna Road, the land south of Fortuna Road is state right now. And then it goes to the bombing range. So Fortuna Road, I mean, if the state land would develop, it will just go a little bit south, like about a mile, and it stops. Now let's go to other busy roads in Yuma County. Yuma County have allowed accesses to projects all over the place. They just recently, they did one on busy Foothills Boulevard. So it makes sense to have these points of access to the subdivision to get people into the subdivision instead of going to a half-width road on the north side and a half-width road on the south side. We are providing them with a nice drive to go in and out, which is, in my opinion, it's really safe. We've already paid for a traffic impact study, and I think it's done, but I just haven't got a copy of it. When am I going to get a copy of it?
Yes,
Tomorrow.
Chairman,
Okay.
please. Yeah.
So I think this design, the way we got it, is really better for the projects, for the safety of people. Instead of using half-width road, they can use a regular full-width road to get in and out. And again, like I said, it's not that busy. You'll be lucky to get just the people that they're going to be living there to travel on that road. It's not congested like Foothills Boulevard or Fortuna Road closer to the highway. So I urge you to look at it that way and allow this modification. Any questions?
Chairman, I have a quick question.
Yes, so Commissioner Moore.
So Fortuna Road will be full width. You'll develop that full width
Yes.
along your project.
Yes, we will do our side of the road, and because of the other part of it is on the other side, so we will end up being full width. And then there is another project that it's coming up right after us, which is owned by I think Scott Spencer and his kids, that they will do the other half. We also bring in the water and sewer, into the area. We're going to be purchasing land from Jacobson, who's developing the project on the other side. He's kind of holding on to that land, and he wants us to basically build his road. You know, we gotta do what we gotta do, you know. Sometimes not everything out there is rosy.
Commissioner McDermott.
Yeah, I'm just confused. How many entrances are there into this 649 lots?
Well, there is one on the north side that is half width road, and there is one on the south side which is half width road, and we are suggesting one in the middle. So it'll be like 3 of them going in and out.
So there would just be one entrance and exit after you moved the north and the south into
Well,
one
if we,
road on the east.
the one we are asking for, if that is not allowed, then we will be able to enter the subdivision from the north and the south. But to enter it from the north and the south, you will end up going on a half-width road, really long ways to get in. So you'll come in from the back of the subdivision. So
Well, I understand that, sir, but in my mind, it's pretty impractical to have one entrance and exit. I don't know what, you know, the fire department or rural metro or all those folks are gonna do, say about that, but in my mind, it's kind of illogical to only have one entrance and one exit.
no, it's going to be 3 of them. It's going to be 3 of them. So it's actually by asking for this entrance, it adds one more.
Let me see if I make sure I understand. You're doing the entrances that are on the half-width roads.
Yes.
They're going to be there. You're asking for an additional entrance.
Exactly.
Off of a full-width road that
Exactly.
is not far enough from it's too
Yeah,
close.
it just happened to be kind of in between.
So there'd be 3 entrances with this.
Okay, okay.
It would just prevent people from having to drive down to a half-width road.
Yeah.
On a half-width road to enter, they'd be able to enter.
Which is really better circulation for the streets.
I guess I would be curious as to why staff.
Well,
We're going to find out in a little bit.
They always do because it's the regulations.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Nadja, doesn't this have to do with line of sight and the speed limit? Those 2 factors are what we're really talking about. Because you have the ability to turn out, but you don't have the distance according to standards that would be determined by the county or whoever. I've run into issues like this before, so I understand kind of what's going on.
Any other commissioners have questions of the applicant? I'm sure we'll get to hear from the county engineer next to tell us why he thinks your plan is not good.
Thank you.
Yes, don't go too far. We might need you back. No consulting.
Arturo Alvarez, Engineering Department. Actually, the requirement is to access an arterial street, which is Fortuna Road, at the section line, quarter section line, and midsection line. If you deviate from that, it requires a modification request, which the applicant is requesting right now. Engineering feels that, as a matter of fact, we're updating our standards, and it still requires to access an arterial at those locations, which means it's limited access, vehicular access on a major street like that.
That's the regulations. Now, in practical terms, tell us from an engineering point why it's a bad idea to enter if it's not a midsection line or a section line or a quarter section line.
Normally, those streets have heavy vehicular traffic on those streets, and maybe and possibly at the intersection at the bottom property line, there's going to be a turning lane. So you don't want any streets crossing that turning lane, whatever those tapers are. So he's going to have on Los Agaves phase 1 and 2, he's going to have 2 entry points, one in the north and one in the south. On the Agaves 3, he's going to have an entry point on the south. And then there's another development coming in that's going to be north of Agaves 3, I believe. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to have an entrance across from ours.
Yeah. So the requirements for the other development to have their entrance at the quarter section line.
So what do you make of of the agents or the applicant's argument that this doesn't go very far and it deads into the bombing range, and there's not going to be the kind of traffic on this street that there normally would on a arterial.
That's a good argument, but again, but again, I mean, we're always planning for the future.
I'm sorry.
Always plan for the future. We don't know what's going to happen years down the road, south of County 13.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
does the, since now that you have the traffic impact study, does it say anything about this entrance at all?
It doesn't say any entrance at all as far as the location of those entrances, because those are addressed through our standards. The traffic study calls for Fortuna to be developed as an arterial, which means 5 lanes, all the way to 40th Street. We do have a traffic study.
And it's requiring, what did it require?
Fortuna Road to be developed with 5 lanes.
5 lanes.
Yes, that should accommodate all the traffic. Because you're looking at 600 on this subdivision, and another maybe possibly 300. So you're looking at around 1,000 lots.
Any other commissioners have questions of engineering department? Don't go too far. We might need you back. All right. We will now open the public hearing portion of this meeting and ask if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of or opposed to item number 7, the modification of subdivision regulations, or item number 8, the tentative map. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and come back to the commissioners for discussion and action.
Mr. Chairman, just a little discussion. Looking at the density, I'd almost, recommend that the county's right in requesting that. But just based on the density and the traffic that it's going to create. But, I'm willing, here's an engineer, I'm not, but I've worked on a lot of projects that have this type of issue. And I don't know what's best. I really don't. I know it costs.
Any other commissioners have thoughts?
I've got to go with
Commissioner
what the
Van Ryn?
recommendation of the county, because they're the ones that are supposed to be the experts in this area. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, there's ones that've done the study and surveys of it, so just my thoughts.
Commissioner McDermott, did you have?
Yeah, I just, again, going to the density, you talk about 1,000 lots. Serve the most, the best, as opposed to what serves the development.
I don't think that the issue is Fortuna. I think the issue is Fortuna's going to be developed plenty wide enough. I think the issue is just having the turnout coming off there.
That it is the turn, whether that's an unsafe turn would be the real
Yeah,
issue.
exactly. Your sight vision. So, Mr. Andias wants to say something else.
Yes, come back up and
sweet talk us a little bit.
Do the close a little bit.
I think these things. I mean, a recent subdivision that was done on Foothills Boulevard. It's even busier than this one. I think the county set a precedent for allowing these. And I've asked staff, it's like, how come you guys are allowing them and you don't want to allow this one? They say, well, it's the regulations, but they have. That's why I was a little bit shocked why they recommended denial, because initially when we spoke, it's like, yeah, it's the process. You just got to go through it, and it will be granted. But they've already set precedent in so many areas. It's actually better for this. And as far as the turning movements, it all works because you have a continuous left turn bay, and the traffic do it like they do it on any other road. They turn in and out. And really, I mean, if it is, you know, if you have driven on Fortuna Road closer to, you know, to the highway or on Foothills Boulevard, I'm telling you, this is a nothing compared to that, you know. I think it would work a lot better for this. It gives people a little bit more leeway to be able to get in and out. I think if you limit it to the sites, I think you basically will mess up the subdivision, to be honest with you.
Mr. Chairman, just one question, Nadja.
Yes.
So by building that double wide, then you'll have an acceleration lane out of that,
We have plenty of room to do all of that stuff.
do an acceleration lane.
Yeah, honestly, with the amount of traffic that would be going on Fortuna Road in that area, because it's a dead end, I think more than 2 true lanes is too much as an engineer.
At this point, yeah.
At this point, I think we can stripe it as such, you know, to do a left turn bay in the middle. 1 true lane going this way, 1 true lane going the other way, and the other ones can be for you know, for turning movements into these driveways. I mean, we can work that with staff. I think staff are limited to what they can say and not say because, you know, you don't want to have regulations and recommend against your own regulations. But as you see, Arturo, he kind of softened up a little bit.
Idea.
You know.
He gave you credit for a good idea or a good argument. Yeah,
Well,
good
but that's what it's all about. I mean, is it a good argument? Well, if it's a good argument. That means it's a good engineering sense. So, so I urge you to support us with this. Any other questions?
And at the moment, commissioners, what's the pleasure?
That puts us in an awkward position, doesn't it?
That's
I
why
hear
they
the
pay
logic. I
That's
hear
why
the
they pay
logic.
us the big bucks.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it.
Maybe one question to the county engineer. Just on
Arturo?
this. Arturo, would,
You want to change your mind?
yeah, well, here's my point. Would an acceleration lane out of that improve the situation?
Actually, on the traffic study outline of 5 lanes, meaning that you'll be able to make a left turn onto that access point, but if you go northbound and it's going to be limited traffic going there, the majority of the traffic is going to be going southbound. So it would help your case with the turning lane as far as if you're making a left. But that's the majority of the traffic will be coming from the north.
So at this time, will it be built 5 lanes or
That's
3?
well, it's going to be my assumption. Well, it's going to be done in phases. We're not going to require them to do it at the beginning.
So as future development comes, you can add the second lane in each direction, and that way it acts like a decel lane, right? Because you have 2 lanes going south, 2 lanes going north.
Well, the traffic study specifies that Fortuna should be developed to the full width, which means 5 lanes.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if development happens in the future, and they don't develop the 5 lanes now, that's going to mitigate whatever happens in the future when they do develop the 5 lanes.
In a way, yes, but the study was done based on this development, not future projected lots. And like I said, this is going to be done in phases. We're not going to require them to do it at first, phase number 1.
So even now, you're going to have a limited amount of traffic traveling south.
Yes.
So you're going to have a few cars turning right into that area there, and a few cars coming out left. I mean, it's minimal.
Yeah, but that's what the traffic studies.
The traffic study also included the census properties.
Yes.
Because they paid for it. So it is this development and the future.
The future to the north.
No, this development and the development on the north side of Agaves 3. But then there's other parcels that are going to be developed as well.
All right, back to the commissioners. Discussion? Action?
I'd make a motion that we approve item number 7.
So there is a motion for recommending the approval of
Modification.
item number 7 Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have we approved the denial or approve?
Yeah, I didn't.
Not approve the denial,
Approve the request.
approve the request for the modification.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Allen with a second by Commissioner Mulhern to recommend approval of the subdivision modification request presented in item number 7. Are there discussion?
We just, Mr. Chairman, I mean, yeah, I understand it, but I couldn't vote for it. I mean, it's just because it's a requirement by the Yuma County. The engineer told us, so, I'd have to vote no on it.
So, vote. And
I would like, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to expand on that. I would agree with you 100%. I would like to see if it was a possibility of some negotiation, what would need to be done in order to be compliant with that to meet the needs of the traffic study.
if I understand what Arturo said, the traffic study didn't address this turn. So Arturo would have to think it's safe to waive county regulations. And he's not willing to say that he thinks it's safe to waive county regulations. Is that an accurate assessment, Arturo? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to recommend approval of item number 7. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Roll call vote.
Adrian Mosqueda?
Nay.
Jim Allen? Scott Mulhern?
Aye.
Danny Bryant?
Aye.
Gary Black?
Nay.
Alden McDermott?
Nay.
Ron Van Wy?
Nay.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. Tie vote is same as a denial, if I'm right, or?
It's tied.
That's right. Anyone want to offer another motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve item number 8.
We have a motion by Commissioner Van Wy with a second by
I'll second that, yeah.
Commissioner Black to recommend approval of item number 8, as presented, the tentative map. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. So item number 7 goes forward with the recommendation of denial. Item number 8 goes forward with the recommendation of approval. We will now go back to item number 5 on tonight's case. Item number 5 on tonight's case is special use case number 23-02. Jim Casio. Thank you. An agent for James and Deborah Babb requests a special use permit per section 601-03 of Yuma County zoning ordinance. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, Anson Lahosset, Senior Planner, presenting special use permit case number 2302, and happy to be here. Jim Cassiola, agent for James and Deborah Babb, requests a special use permit to allow a disguised wireless communication facility on a parcel 9.55 gross acres in size, zoned rural area 20-acre minimum. The parcel is located within the North Gila planning area, and the intent is to establish a 115-foot monopine wireless communication facility. This is the vicinity and zoning map showing the subject parcel in crosshatch. Parcels 1, 2, and 4 to the north, northeast, and east are zoned RA20 and are vacant, with the exception of parcel 4 that is approved with a manufactured home. Parcel 5 to the east is zoned recreational vehicle park and is the location of the Sandbar Trailer Park. Parcel 181140005 to the south is zoned RA20 and is in agricultural production. Parcel 10 to the southwest is zoned Suburban Ranch 2-acre minimum and is improved with a single-family residence and a shop. Parcels 6, 7, 8, and 9 are zoned SR1. Parcels 8 and 9 are vacant. Parcel 7 is improved with a single-family residence, and Parcel 6 is improved with a manufactured home. This is an aerial image of the parcel and surrounding area. Other than the recreational vehicle parks, there are residents on large parcels and agricultural production nearby. This is the site plan submitted by the applicant. This is an elevation of the proposed wireless communication facility provided by the applicant. This is a conceptual view of the proposal provided by the applicant. On the right, it demonstrates the existing view from the intersection of Buckshot Road and Canyon Avenue looking east. On the left, it demonstrates what the view would look like with a monopole or the proposed monopine on the bottom left. This is an image looking west at Buckshot Road from Avenue 9E. And this is an image looking northeast at the subject property from the southwest corner. This is an image looking southwest at the subject property, an aerial image. Staff received no comments from property owners within the zoning notification area. Marine Corps Air Station Yuma stated that they were working together with the agent. Staff recommends approval of special use permit case 2302, subject to the following performance condition. Within 60 days of the Board of Supervisors' approval, all owners or their agents must provide the following: an ARS 12-1134 waiver. And operational conditions: the approval of the special use permit is based on the site plan submitted by the applicant. Any change from the site plan will require approval by the County Planning Director pursuant section 402.04 of the Yuma County Zoning Ordinance. The special use permit is limited to a single monopine tower and associated ground equipment. The proposed tower must be lighted with a red beacon at the top of the structure for operation from dusk to dawn, and with an additional steady burning red light placed on the tower at 50% of the tower's total height. The proposed tower must be removed with the cessation of its use. Mr. Chairman, that completes staff's presentation. Are there any questions for staff?
Do any commissioners have questions of staff? Seeing none, if the agent is here, would like to speak? I won't try the name again. You'll have to say it again. Name and address for the
Jim
record.
Cassiola, and address is 3530 East Atlanta Avenue in Phoenix. So I just want to say that I know in the last meeting that we had, we talked about a site. We were concerned about planes, crop dusters, and things like that. In this particular location, there's a span. I think you can kind of see them in the western image looking from the site. There's 150 right there. One back. Or you can kind of see them in this picture as well. There are existing power poles that are approximately 150 feet tall. So we will not be the tallest structure in the area at all. We're going to be 105 feet, and we're designed to accommodate 3 carriers again in this location. So as far as, we're more than willing to light it as well, but there are much taller structures in the general area as well, just so you're aware that we're not the only tall item in that area. So if you have any other questions?
Any questions of the applicant?
I have a silly question, perhaps.
Sure.
And it's more cosmetic per se.
Mm-hmm.
Pine in Yuma, elevation, we see it in pictures.
Yep.
Do you have a saguaro version, or?
Well, a 105-foot saguaro would be a bit, but we could definitely do a broadleaf, more like a eucalyptus. So if the staff would prefer, to make a recommendation that it not be a pine, that it be a eucalyptus.
I mean, we can dream,
certainly do
it's
that.
hot here, maybe that's kind of like a,
You know, I get to drive by there occasionally. It probably cooled down, you know, to see a pine tree.
even if it's just.
You feel like
here.
you're in a different place,
Well,
different environment.
I've got a pine in my backyard.
See?
So,
Feel like you're up north.
Okay.
yeah.
Like you're up
yeah.
north.
They grow here, the Aleppos, but,
Now, any real questions for the applicant?
And there is quite a bit of other vegetation on the property as well, so he's not planning to develop it. So it'll stay, you know, a lot of other vegetation all around the base as well. So you won't see the whole entire structure. Yeah, so.
put in a palm, is it a mono palm instead of a mono
It
pine?
would be, but they're generally one carrier. So you can get one carrier unless you put one of those giant coconuts on the thing that, you know, that comes
Right.
down, and that looks kind of ridiculous. It doesn't look like a real pine
No,
tree, a
no.
palm tree at all, so.
Robotic.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. So that these are much better structures for the multi-carrier. Yep, so.
Very good. Any other questions? If not, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll open the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the public want to speak in favor of or opposed to?
There he is.
There.
He is, Old Faithful.
I was so scared you weren't going to come forward.
Sorry, I just need to get up for a little bit. Antonio Martinez, Marine Corps Station Yuma. I know it was mentioned that we're working together, and just to let you know, just for the record, we already reviewed the case. Any tower request that we get in the surrounding area, we actually check it for location, for height, and frequencies. So we have a team within the base that reviews not only new towers, but any modification to towers that are happening in the surrounding area. Because, you know, it can actually impact not only, you know, MCAS, but YPG or any other agency. So, I mean, that's, I just want to make sure that, let you know that we already reviewed it and we have no concerns.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that was what I was going to ask you about reference to YPG. You do coordinate with them on that as well, correct?
Right, so our spectrum manager, mainly for the frequencies, because we're the ones in charge of the, all the aviation side.
Right, okay.
So we're the ones that have the traffic, the ATC, the air traffic tower for that.
Right.
But for frequencies, yeah, we actually check with both of them. Actually, our spectrum manager is very knowledgeable about the frequencies the YPG has.
Okay.
And there's pretty much a block of frequencies that are used for our military, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Anyone else from the public like to speak tonight concerning this special use case number 23-02? If not, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and come back to the commissioners for discussion and action. Commissioner Van Wy?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve special use permit 23-02 as presented by staff.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Van Wy with a second by Commissioner AJ to approve or recommend approval of special use case number 23-02 as presented. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Recommendation for approval was unanimous. Item number 9 on tonight's agenda, discussion by the commission members and planning directors of events attended, current events, and the schedule for future planning commission meetings. Anyone have anything to share? If not, all business having been conducted, meeting's adjourned.